And I'm sure he's as concerned as I am about, we've just been talking about defence, needing to be self-sufficient in defence, but also need to be self-sufficient in food, as we saw with all those problems. Well, post-Brexit, yeah, but largely post-lockdown, when it turned out that actually an awful lot of our foodstuffs come from overseas. Big shortages in some things, with a bit of panic buying. But one of the things we've learned in recent years is perhaps we really need to be able to make sure we can kind of put food on the supermarket shelves, because it doesn't actually grow there. And so there's been a real bid to actually support British farming. Well, the Prime Minister is setting out a blueprint to boost British fruit and vegetable farming coming up. He's basically talking to members of the farming community at the second Farm to Fork Summit at Downing Street today, and about how the UK needs to reduce its reliance on overseas fruit and vegetables and back British producers. Let's talk to Liz Webster, who's the founder of Save British Farmers, and joins us now. Good morning to you.
Hello, Julia. Hi.
Very hi. Nice to talk to you. Look, I mean, there's a lot of talk about these things. Does this actually make a difference when we have a summit and is this all announced? Does anything actually happen as a result of it, or is it just a nicer photo opportunity?
Oh, sorry, my dog's decided.
I love that. If you're watching, yes, down, Shep.
No, I mean, look, he's been in government for the last nearly 5 years, and this latest government has overseen the biggest destruction of food security in living memory.
In what way? What's happening?
In such a short period of time.
And how are they doing that?
Well, we did this thing called Brexit. We did this thing called Brexit, and instead of thinking we need to shore up domestic food production, they set agriculture policy, which is largely environmental policy. So they've been encouraging us to do environmental schemes, which means taking land out of food production.
Yeah. Oh, look, we've seen that's happening in places like Netherlands and elsewhere, when actually there's been a massive uproar about it, basically telling farmers to stop producing food even though we need more food.
The truth of the matter is this, there's been an assumption that supermarkets will always be able to get hold of food from somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's been largely no interest in what we do here. This government is in the end of days, and if they come out at the beginning 4.5 years ago and said, yes, we want to do this, I would be there saying, brilliant. But what we've got is the end of days, they're electioneering, and they're really, in my view, wanting to be seen as the farmer's friend.
Rather than actually, they've not been there the last few years. Look, I've just finished watching, as I'm sure lots of people have, the third series of Clarkson's The Farm on Amazon Prime. And I have to say, it's been an amazing, amazing insight into farmers' lives, just how hard that life is and how little money there is, and the risks attached. Like, you can do everything right, work your buttocks off, and you get too much rain, too much sun, too much something. That's it. Your whole crop is destroyed. The market's destroyed. Prices go down. There's no protection. Now, there used to be more subsidies that were more reliable. There's less so now. People in the shops kind of expect to pay lower prices. Supermarkets beating producers and farmers down all the time, often, basically making a loss on some of their products like milk. What can we as consumers do to help British farmers? I mean, obviously, buying British, yes, but what else can we do in terms of talking to supermarket owners, our MPs, whoever, to help British farmers so that you can do the job you love and that you're great at, and we can get great British food?
Well, one thing they can do today is they can sign our petition, which we've got going, which I will put up on our social media and so forth. I'll make sure it's on the pinned tweet. It's not at the moment, but I'll put that up there on Save British Farming, Twitter and Facebook. But it would be great if they could sign the petition. Yep. Ultimately, yes, supermarkets are very reactive to their customers. So, if you go into the supermarket and you want to know more about the labelling, please ask about it. Take a video of it, send it to us, because right now the food labelling is dishonest, and they're quite often saying that it's British, and when you look at the small print, it's not, and that really infuriates us.
So how do they do that?
Yes, right.
But how do they do that, Liz? So, like, it's something's grown in Chile or Turkey or something, and then they just package it here and then say put British on it and a Union flag.
It's usually to do with where it's processed and amalgamated, but Sorry, we're breaking up. But it's a deregulation of Brexit. You know, that there's different rules now, that we're not in the protection of the single market any longer. And obviously, I was a Remainer. I know you were very much a staunch Brexiteer. But for me, everything that I predicted is happening, and worse and more. Everything we were scared of has happened in terms of war and weather, and it's impacted our food production. And we've also had a really poor government in not actually thinking we ought to make sure that as we're on our own, we need to have contingency in place.
Well, I mean, again, I have to say, even within the EU, they can still stop sending us stuff if they choose, as we saw, during pandemics and things. But again, there's no reason why the government couldn't be offering those subsidies, which I think a lot of us are more supportive of after seeing things like clocks and stuff. Really appreciate you joining us, Liz Webster, founder of Safe British Farmers.